sports, arts, music. Mike and Marty on the beat. Mike and Marty. Mike and Marty.
Good morning, Bells Falls, Rockingham, and Keene. It's The Feed with Mike and Marty, and we're here today. We're going to be talking with some people from Sojourns about all sorts of stuff. We'll get to it in a minute, but first, Marty with local events.
Local events. So at the Bells Falls Opera House this week, starting on the 14th, is going to be the movie Champions, which is a Woody Harrelson movie. So I'm sure it's going to have some good comedy, and I think it has a good theme in there too. I don't have an actual video image on it, but for all of you Super Mario Brothers fans, that movie is coming next and running for quite a long time, so you'll have lots of chances to see it. The classic movie this week is a movie called The Public Enemy, which I have never actually even heard of. Must be a real oldie based upon James Cagney. And that movie is in memory of Ray Masuko. So we're back in the swing of classic movies. That's this evening. Smells Like Nirvana is coming to the Opera House. They're a Nirvana cover band on May 18th. There are tickets and plenty of seats available, and that is produced by PK's and Cider Presents. So I've been giving you kind of the same run for the past couple of weeks, so I tried to be a little more creative and find something interesting that's a local event that people might not know about. So out at Vermont Academy, there's a new musical called Closer. It is student written and directed. The student is Abby Hawkins. It's free admission. They will accept donations, but that is April 14th, 15th, and 16th out at Vermont Academy at their theater and the Nita Chukas Theater within the Performing Arts Center. So that might be something to check out. And we're getting into spring. Mm-hmm. In fact, I think we're going right from spring to summer based upon the weather. Yeah. But they will be starting the Keep BF Beautiful things again. So that is run through BIFTA and through some independent folks. And they're tying it into Green Up Day this year on Saturday, May 6th. So there's going to be a big kickoff. So I'm just going to read kind of what they're doing. So join us as we kick off to Keep BF Beautiful. We've got new banners to hang, flowers to plant, trash and weeds to remove, chalk art to create, friends to meet, and community service to provide. We need photographers and food. Meet outside the town hall at 9 a.m. and return for a potluck lunch at 11:30. Inspired to pick up trash on your street, get your Green Up bags and come by and say hi on your way. So that's on Saturday, May 6th. That will be the kickoff event of Keep America Beautiful. I did not sleep last night. I'm sorry. Keep BF Beautiful. Good thing you guys are here. Maybe you can give me some tips.
Straighten this out.
The Community Rock Stars is happening on April 20th. That is the Chamber's new way of recognizing community rock stars this year at their annual dinner. Last year it was superheroes, community superheroes. Mm-hmm. So this year it's community rock stars. So that's on April 20th. Tickets are available. It's going to be up at the Country Club. There'll be food and dessert, and you can get to meet whoever was chosen as. I think they're only choosing 5. Last year they had a lot because they had to make up for a couple years. Yeah. But I believe you can still nominate. You can get the nominations on the Chamber website. You send it in, and you can nominate a community rock star. And last but not least, I don't have a slide on this. I just found out last minute, but the Farmers Market is looking for a manager. So if you're interested in having a very, very part-time job and being part of a really good community service, reach out to greaterfallsfarmersmarket@gmail.com.
Great. Yeah, so today we have Cliff Steinberg and Sarah Allen from Sojourns. Welcome back. You guys were here a couple weeks ago, and it's good. And spring's coming, so one of the things we want to talk about today is Spring into Renewal.
Uh-huh.
What is that?
Well, actually, I'm going to let you take that one.
Spring into Renewal is our spring campaign, and we're really excited this year because we've got almost 30 donated pieces of local art from local artists for an art pop-up, our first art pop-up at Sojourns, and you're all invited to the open house. The opening for the art show is next Thursday, April 20th from 6 to 8 p.m. But that art show is part of our spring 2-week fundraising appeal. And the art alone could bring in a little over $5,000 if we sell all the art. And it was all donated to us very generously by these artists and sponsored by Westwind Fine Art in Walpole. But our overall campaign goal is to raise $50,000 in these 2 weeks, starting this Friday. And if you're on our if you're on our email list,
That's ambitious.
Yeah, if you're on our email list, you'll get some pictures of the art. We're going to send out each day to show you what's being sold. But the clinic, and I think we'll talk about this today, is the unexpected and hidden costs in healthcare. And so our deficit for the year is actually much bigger than that. So that's just a portion that we're looking to the community to help us bring in to keep our doors open and help us be able to keep serving. I hear amazing stories every day. I talked to a woman this morning who said she's been coming to Sojourns for 20 years and struggles with fibromyalgia and never knows when the pain is going to come back. And she comes in every week for chiropractic, and it's just so healing for her. So along with the unexpected sources unexpected expenses, we have unexpected sources of healing all around us. And Cliff and I were just talking about that this morning. I'll just share one more thing. This morning I went to Walpole Elementary, and the founders of Ashwalit concerts were there playing and teaching the kids about how music is not just about what we're hearing, that it helps your brain to feel good. And they had all these amazing parallels between music, learning about music and learning about yourself. And so that's what I think we at the clinic are always looking at. What are the sources of healing around us in nature, in music, in art? And that's why we're excited to put on this art show next week.
So the art show, is it going to be online and
so the gallery,
like virtual and real? And
yes, there's an online gallery, but it'll be for sale on site only. So you have to come and pick up your piece and buy it. But if you see a piece online that you like, feel free to reach out to us and we can see if we can.
Can you bid online?
Reserve it. So it's not an auction. They're
not
all
an auction.
just
It's a
priced.
sale. Okay.
Yeah, they're all priced at retail.
And
price.
is it strictly paintings when you say art, or is there
It's a mix.
sculpture,
We've
or?
got a couple pieces of pottery, a glass blower being featured, and then prints, and then at least one original charcoal piece done in charcoal. And I'm trying to think what else. Yeah, it'll all be on display for 2 weeks. So even if you just want to come look at the art, it'll be on display starting April 20th through the end of the month.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what made you, where was the inspiration to say, okay, we're going to do $50,000 in 2 weeks?
That came from deep within my soul, knowing what we need to bring in. And we can do it. We've got some amazing donors hiding in the woods of Vermont. I know they're there.
There are. I
I
totally
believe
agree.
you. Because,
I think the key with fundraising for, the clinic is a nonprofit, and not a lot of people realize that because we take insurance and we take payments, but that's only covers a part of our costs. And so part of what I like to think about fundraising is helping the donor be part of the story, be part of the solution, and really highlighting. We're going to be featuring more patient testimonials in the coming weeks on video, which I think is really exciting. I love every time I hear a patient story, or experience what an organization is doing. Like when I heard Ashwalit concerts this morning, I thought, I want to give to what they're doing for the kids. So come on over to the clinic and I'll give you a tour. Cliff will give you a tour. We'll let you experience it because it's a very healing place.
Good.
Yeah, it is a healing place. And I'd just like to add to that we are one of, as far as I know, one of the few kind of truly independent clinics that still exist. A lot of smaller practices have been sort of incorporated into the larger hospital practices, and there are some financial challenges to remaining independent, and yet we really would kind of fiercely hold on to the independence because we're practicing in a way we feel good about that gets harder as you become sort of into a larger corporate environment. So we're just trying to figure out how to sort of fill that gap financially, and looking for all kinds of strategies and ideas.
Yeah, I don't know if people understand that the quality that you can offer being independent is way up here, but that independence is really expensive.
It is.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, because at least I guess back to the 1990s, healthcare is becoming more and more about big pieces,
Yes.
like Dartmouth-Hitchcock and
Consolidation.
yeah,
I think, is the big
consolidation. So
thing.
everybody's
Yeah.
part of Dartmouth-Hitchcock now, and and that allows them, that mass allows them to negotiate better rates.
Mm-hmm.
But it really hurts the smaller practices.
Yeah, it does, and it tends to kind of homogenize the kind of care and the kind of services you can access, and so that's part of what's great about Sojourns is, you know, we approach things slightly differently, I think, and sometimes substantially differently, and yeah, there's just real value to that. It's just how do you?
No, I agree.
Yeah.
How do you maintain that quality level that you take pride in?
Yeah.
But while being able to afford to be able to have pay the rent and pay for all the other expenses that you have that people probably don't even realize that they're there.
I think it's definitely a double-edged sword because when you stay independent, you get to practice exactly as you want to. Whatever your mission is, you get to really fulfill your mission. Yet you don't get the cost benefits of being affiliated with a larger entity. If you're affiliated with a larger entity, you lose the ability to practice as you all see fit. And that sometimes, especially after 20 years, I imagine that wouldn't sit well. And I think from a client perspective, it's like Mike just said, you get to operate in the way that you operate, which is, I think, you're much more client-centered, client-focused. I'm not saying that other hospitals, larger hospitals, aren't, but truly, when you get that big, it becomes about the bottom line.
Well, it does, and it feels like I don't want to disparage the mainstream medical system because it's got so many strengths. But I want to acknowledge that it also has limitations and that we do fill a gap there. And we had we went to present to a leadership organization in southern Vermont last week. And Sarah had asked the question, about what people value when they have a good experience in medicine. And a few words kind of sprung up and were repeated, but the one that I remember the most was agency. And agency in the sense of a personal agency. And I do think, that's one of the things about the larger medical system is that there's a way in which it's disempowering to patients at times, and some of it's time constraints, and there's a lot of things I could say about that, but it is one of the things that we do really well, and people notice is that they come in and they're allowed to sort of guide their own care to some extent, and that's a very
really
empowering experience. I don't know if you want to say more to that.
No, I think that was great, and it was so good to hear from people what they need in healthcare. Another person said, "I want to feel seen. I want to feel heard." And when they described traditional care, the words were not as positive. Again, we're not trying to polarize, but they were really reflective of a system, that's seeking to provide care as opposed to people. And I think what makes Sojourns so special are the people and the providers and how much they care about the patients, individually.
And I think that the past few years especially, I'm guessing that, so you get a certain reimbursement rate from insurance, and that's probably been about the same. Yet I'm going to guess you've had a lot of expenses, probably staffing expenses, all of the things that, for following COVID protocols. And those don't, like, the reimbursement rates don't go up to meet that. You have to absorb that, hence needing to have a fundraiser, correct?
Yeah. We launched a new electronic medical record system this month, and there's the hard costs of that actual system, but then the soft costs too of seeing a little bit fewer patients as we learn the new system, so providers have time to navigate that system and things that, those are the expenses that you don't see right up front, but that are very real and tangible. We also like for our providers to be able to take their vacation days. So you have to budget for that. You have to budget for those
There's a
lost,
novelty.
not as many patients seen in those weeks, or if they fall sick, So all that has to be budgeted for and considered.
So if people aren't doing the art auction, what's the easiest way for them to just donate?
You can go to our website, sojourns.org, and click the bright orange donate button, and it will take you right to the place. You can also mail a check if you prefer.
Nice. And I noticed that you put in the little blurb about it that you're trying to gather this amount of money as unrestricted funding, because I'm guessing that's one of those things. There's like, ooh, that's what we need the most, because that's for when things pop up and it doesn't fall into some other budget item and you're not quite sure who you're going to pull it from. But if you have some unrestricted funds, it makes life a lot easier.
Really does. So the other thing we wanted to talk today about was unexpected sources of healing. That's fascinating. I want to hear.
We had the downer part, so now let's go to the good part.
Right.
Yeah. I think you mentioned music, I guess, is I don't know if that's expected or unexpected. But
Yeah. Well, I think, looking at the parts of your life that bring you a sense of joy and groundedness. For example, getting your bare feet on the ground. When we're kids, we're outside playing, and there's actually a lot of research done on grounding and earthing and the positive effects of just having your bare feet on the ground for 10 minutes a day. You may not think of that as a source of healing until you try it and realize how calm you feel afterwards. Music, the workshop I went to this morning was around just, when you hear live classical music and the vibrations and they're filling the room and you close your eyes, it taps into it. As a piano player myself, it taps into a really different part of your brain. And that can be very healing and integrating of you within yourself. So art, people talk about art therapy and how art can be healing. So I think we try to work with each patient, and Cliff can speak more to this as a provider, with helping them identify the things in their life that bring them a source of healing that are not just a supplement or an herbal tea or things we put in our body, but the things that are around us as well.
Yeah, it's an interesting way to frame it, the unexpected sources of healing. And in some ways, I think, I almost turn that over and think a little bit about, our natural state is towards health, right? And so sometimes it's identifying, the things that sort of resonate within a person. And then that you're sort of moving towards health, you're giving your sort of your body an opportunity to thrive. And what seems to be more clear is that there's a lot of unexpected sources of anti-healing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's that's equally important to me. Like the focus on the positive is better, I believe. But trying to figure out, like, what are we doing on a regular basis that is interfering with this kind of, natural tendency towards health. And you've got some ideas.
I do. It was kind of an epiphany for me. Like, you see this word all the time, but I didn't see it broken down in quite the same way. I was reading something one day and it was talking about what you just said. Your body has a natural tendency to want to be healthy, to want to be at ease. And when you're not at ease, you are in dis-ease. And I was like, It was like literally one of those, the lights came on, the singing in the background, that when we have a state of disease, it's because we don't have a state of ease. And that's when you were saying your body has that tendency. So what are things that cause ease? Music sometimes, just being in nature. In addition to grounding, isn't there something called forest bathing or something?
Walking
in the forest.
Forest bathing, yes.
Things like the ocean, walking in the sand, warmth. You guys have an infrared sauna.
We have an infrared sauna. We also teach courses on breath work, and I think paying attention to your breath can be one of the most powerful ways to step in a state of ease, or that parasympathetic state where even if everything around you is chaotic, you can come from a place of rest and ease. Stress doesn't have to be bad. I think we think of, oh, stress, I'm going to avoid it. But if you're able to step into the stressful situation from a state of ease and peace and calm, then your body has a completely different response.
It's almost motivating sometimes. I mean, I think that we're meant to have a certain amount of stress in order to get things done, right? If you're totally, you probably would never get work done. But it's when we don't handle it well.
Yeah.
It's when we because how many times do you have that time where you go through this very stressful situation, and then at the end, because you kind of went in knowing, and then you came out, you're like, oh, I got that, I did that. That's
well, and that helps your brain to grow. I read the other day that you actually release something called DHEA in the brain, which actually is, as a response to stress, helps your brain to grow, as opposed to cortisol, which your body does need in certain situations, but if you're in a chronic state of stress, that cortisol can lead to inflammation. So the more we learn about that and give people tools, I mean, we don't grow up learning in kindergarten about DHEA, right? But the more that we
goodness.
can, we want to teach people. I mean, right? You're the doctor. I've got the right acronym there. But it's how we respond to it that matters, I think.
Yeah. Well, I also think that there's the idea of stress can be many things, but if it's chronic, if it's constant or persistent, that is something that isn't a natural state. Whereas short-term, sort of need to react is pretty natural. Yeah. I remember, and I don't remember the author's name, but there was a book written. I don't know. I'm going to just say 20 years ago, but I don't know. It was Zebras Don't Get Ulcers or something.
Oh, really?
This one? And it's the same idea of they have stress, like there's predators and there's issues that come. But they don't have chronic stress. That was the premise as I remember.
Well, and that's how we used to live. Like you'd be chased and you'd fight, flight, or freeze. Yeah. And then, I look at my dog. She has a stressful moment. She just shakes it off. Like, as humans, we need to learn to shake it off because we internalize so much and then it becomes an emotional pattern.
I was waiting for Mike to break in song.
Yeah.
He was going to do his imitation of
Taylor Swift,
Oh, yeah.
You saw the lights
I did. I saw the light come on. I'm like Mike's going to break into song. Because there's something we would do a parody of, for sure.
I think we did at one point. But
probably.
Never mind.
That's
all
we
I'm
digress.
Well, that would be a source of healing to me, just to see
laughter. There you go. Joy.
Yeah, that's
and
laughter.
Right. Yeah, laughter's a good one.
But so we are down to, believe it or not, we have about 2 minutes left.
We need to go back. We need to circle back to the fundraising again to let people know how they can. Do we have contact information?
We should.
Yep.
I see someone shaking their head yes, and here it comes.
There it is.
Go to our website. Yep, there's a link at the top that says Spring Art Show, and you can find all the details there.
And I think, because I did click on the link, there is an option to become to make it a monthly donation, to say, okay, I'm going to do planned giving and sustainable giving, and so that you can put it kind of into your monthly budget, which I always find that's, I'm guessing, I know personally that's just an easier thing sometimes because it just comes out of your checking account and you don't see it. But also for you, it gives you a better planning tool because if you can have a certain amount of monthly income that comes in donations, then it's just easier. Yeah. It's easier all the way around.
Thank you.
Makes life a lot easier. So it kind of comes down to, folks, if you with so many things around here, if you want places to stay open and active, sometimes you have to figure out how you can support them, and sometimes it's a monetary support if you can do it, because everyone is hit with everything right now, and especially the healthcare costs that the whole healthcare industry has absorbed.
Yeah, there's a lot of that, and times are it feels like money is tight in many ways right now. So, but I do want to say, I believe wholeheartedly that Sojourns is going to be around for the long term, and just to put people's mind at ease on that level.
Right. I know, I didn't mean to create a scare.
We will solve this problem, and it's not imminently dire. it's a good stress.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, there you go.
So shake it off until
Shake it
next
up. Well, I
week.
was just going to say that the little quote I had along the lines of music was sometimes you get by with a little help from your friends.
There you go.
So there you
There you
go.
go.
There you
Take it.
go.
Yeah.
So
boy.
that's exactly
On
what
that
they're
note,
looking
we'll
at.
leave. We'll see you next week. Bellows Falls, Keene, Rockingham.
Bye.
Bye.
Not Taylor.
Local news, politics, business, sports, arts, music. Mike and